Hi, I'm Jennifer Cain Birkmose. I'm so happy to be a guest on your show today, Curtis. I'm here to talk about my business, VivaValet. We are an at-home concierge service for older adults who wish to live at home independently. I'm so excited to talk with you about it today.
You're watching Success, Motivation, and Inspiration, where we share interviews with incredible leaders who are crushing it in life and business.
Jennifer, it is so good to have you on the show today. First question for you: What early experiences shaped your passion for improving healthcare and elder services with Viva Valet?
Wonderful. So, what early experiences did I have in my life? I've been having a life, I'd say, of passion, of purpose around healthcare access for patients and for massive populations and healthcare systems. And having been trained at Johns Hopkins, I was a diplomat for the World Health Organization and for 20 years an executive in the pharmaceutical industry where we're developing medicines and creating access for patients all over the world. I found myself, like so many of us who are entrepreneurs, have a kind of wicked problem that comes into their own lives that they need to solve. And that's exactly what happened to me with regards to Viva Valet and really wanting to get super involved in the age tech space as well as in the aging at home space. And that is specifically that I'm a woman in the sandwich generation. What does that mean? I've got kids at home and I have aging relatives that I really wish to care for. Unfortunately, I live thousands of miles away from those aging relatives. And so in order for me to go and support those aging relatives, my father, for example, I have to get on a plane, disrupt my life here, my career, and fly thousands of miles. And I know that I'm not the only person like this. In fact, even if you're in your own city and you have a busy job, you have children that you're taking to soccer practice, all those kinds of things, you still have to help your parents if they need your support. And that's exactly where our problem came to life and our solution came to life as well, is building this business, which is a tech platform that enables olders to easily find curated, trusted, safe services that enable them to live confidently at home.
And checking out your website, it looks like it's definitely easily accessible for. I mean, everything down to the UI UX, your font sizing, the colors, the contrast. It looks like it's built with elder folks in mind.
You're going to make me cry. Just saying that, you're going to make me cry because that's exactly what we did. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but that is an astute observation, which is 100% true. So one of the
How
value propositions that we came up with is in order to create access at a high volume for olders who wish to live at home is how do you do that? Because it's a very fragmented market to find all these types of services. One could say, I could Google for all these things. Sure, you could. And how many hours in your day do you want to spend doing that? Especially if you're an older yourself who has precious little time and time that you wish to spend on things that you want to do and get to do instead of have to do. And so that's one of the value propositions that we have is that our platform was built with olders. So when you say that it looks like it's clear, the UI UX is clean, clear, easy to navigate, that is absolutely speaking my love language, Curtis, because we designed it with people who are between the ages of 75 and 93. They sat on our UI UX beta teams and tested every day after a design sprint, wireframing. Every page went through that board of individuals who are between the ages of 75 and 93 in order to help us understand how to make this the easiest buying experience possible for them.
One of the cool things about your service, you mentioned people could go out and find different services. We've got, ChatGPT. You can get access to anything, any publicly available human knowledge on the internet. But the problem with that, a lot of times with seniors, is also that you get online, you Google something, or you're on Facebook and you see an ad pop up and end up getting scammed or ripped off, or something looks reputable, but they may not understand the URL structure of some site with a period in front of the domain. That's a different folder, but they think that's PayPal or Google or whatever the reputable source is. We have seen people getting scammed often being on a site that's not trustworthy. So the basic mission behind yours is that kind of consolidating, where it's easy for people to get access to stuff safely that they need.
So consolidation of a very fragmented market for those services that olders need to live at home with confidence and independently. Services like rides, if they're assisted, for example, customized meals that are customized to the individual, cleaning services, home safety assessments, which also do the modification to reduce the risk of falls. We also do in-home and community-based tech. So tech training, and some may say, why do that? But if you want to be actually active in this world, even use banking or even utilize healthcare in many healthcare systems, you have to be able to be competent in these areas. So that's a lot of what we're doing, is providing all these services customized to the individual, exactly what they need. And you hit on something really critical. What you said, the word scam, you said the word trust, and that is the most important value that I have as an adult child. And I also know that our customers who are older say that, bring me someone good, bring me someone who's qualified, bring me someone who I can trust. So that is absolutely part of our ethos. It's part of our, not just brand identity, but it's absolutely part of the DNA of who we are. How do we do that? We actually have a very lengthy vetting process before we bring anyone into our business to serve our customers. So for example, finding established businesses that have been in business for more than 2 years, for example, ensuring that they're ensuring that they're insured, that they're bonded. We have them go through criminal background checks. So for example, if you compare like a TaskRabbit, it could be an individual who comes in and does these kinds of things. These are established businesses, which like I said, have all the insurance procedures, and again, all the criminal background check we do. I personally train all of these people before they go into the home of any older. And before they are released to actually serve an older, they have to pass a written exam and a practical exam. And even the next layer of security that we have on top of that is we always have eyes on these people as soon as they're going to the home of our customer. So they get to the customer, they check in with us through our app, they check out,
Location tracking.
they
Yeah,
leave, and then we call the customer within 10 minutes of the visit to make sure everything's okay. So it is really bulletproof in terms of trust, safety, and it's that kind of assurance that an adult child like myself needs. It's the kind of assurance that an older needs to have the confidence in order to navigate this experience independently.
you talk about working with World Bank, the WHO, Roche, some of these major companies, and you served executive roles in biotech and global health. What made you pivot into age tech?
So it's a great question. And I think really when I think about those experiences, having gone through the training in public health at Johns Hopkins and having all these types of experiences like you just described through the United Nations kind of network and also executive in biotech and pharma, I found that I was getting to a phase in my life where I wanted to, in fact, pivot. And part of it was, what is it that I can do to all the mastery of all the technical skill, all the kind of ambition for impact that I had for people and patients in healthcare systems? What could I do to roll that into something that would actually have purpose for my third act in my own life? Many of us talk about, we're in the third act of our lives as we enter into our 50s. And that's really what I was looking for. And I think still the word purpose comes up over and over again because it's truly purpose driven. What is it that I could do with my time, my skills, my experience to actually infuse into the next act, which is also service fulfilling, knowing that I'm solving my own personal problem, which is I have an aging parent that I wish to care for. And I know that I am not alone. I know that 48% of adult children are living far away from their parents, within 100 miles or more away from their parents. I know that right now, by the age of 2050, we're going to have 85 million people over the age of 70 in the United States alone. Every single day, 10,000 people turn 65 in the United States. And we have, of that whole population, we're talking about 100 million people, 85% of those people don't have a plan for how they're going to age in place. And one last stat from University of Michigan is that 89% of those people in those age groups want to live at home. They want to stay at home. It's not that they're waiting to move into assisted living or waiting to move into a senior living community. They want to live at home. And so I think it's that perfect storm of like, I'm ready. I brought all of these skills and all this experience and wishing to have another act in my life of impact, knowing that there's a huge growing population with huge demand. A third of our workforce over the last 2 years has our healthcare workforce has permanently exited the healthcare system. And so we have a lack of capacity. We have fewer people that can actually care for older adults in families. We need to find a way to mobilize communities so they can deliver service with understanding for olders and actually assist them in living at home. And that's through the provision of these daily customized services that enable olders to have confidence and independence at home.
Can you walk us through more of the core services that VivaValet offers to older adults and their families?
Absolutely. So the services that we provide, again, we're operating in Illinois currently. Our services are assisted rides. So that means if you have a wheelchair or if you have additional equipment that you need, we can move you around for that, for your medical appointments, for example. We also have customizable meals. And again, that's customized down to the individual. So for example, Curtis, if your grandparent or auntie or your parents needed to have an American Heart Association diet or a low sugar diet, American Diabetes Association diet, or gluten-free, we can customize all that to their needs. And then that's a meal. It's a service of meals that we deliver for a week that are pre-packaged in cartons, for example. We place that into the refrigerator. We take away all of the refuse. So there's no extra boxes for them to have to remove. We also do cleaning services. That's something that's actually very common, especially because olders often they're lacking a bit of the physical stamina, or they just wish not to clean their house because now they have this free time. They get to do things that they wish to do. And one of the things that they wish that they didn't have to do is actually cleaning their house, especially if it comes to the hard scrubbing and things like that. And then again, home safety assessments. And really, what are we looking for? It's the fall risk that we have in the home. So that's, for example, safety around stairs, safety around the bathing experience, around the bathroom, making sure that carpeting is properly nailed down, guardrails and handrails wherever we need them to be, and also really effective lighting in places. All of those things contribute to a reduction in fall risk. And we know that, we have 30,000 people a year who are falling. And if you have a serious fall where you break a hip or you break a femur after the age of 65, you have an all-cause mortality risk of dying that's 30%, because you may
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
you may have, yeah, it's ridiculous. You may have a surgery, you may be in long-term care, you may get pneumonia, you may never regain mobility that you had before. So it's really one of our primary concerns is how do we do this in a responsible, safe, trustworthy way, in a tasteful way as well, that's sort of attractive in the home so that we can reduce those fall risks constantly. And then lastly, tech. It's one of our fastest growing verticals that we have in our company because seniors are eager to learn about tech. It's fantastic to see the hunger in their eyes when we show up to do our in-home visits or when they come to our community-based courses. They bring their phones, they have lists of things they want to do, things like, I really want to learn how to share photos. Or one of the great liberations is making a Spotify playlist. Like, what an absolute joy for them. It's so wonderful to see. And of course, they're able to navigate all their banking apps and all of their healthcare records as well. So that's what we're currently serving. We're going to be piloting another service in the Chicago area, which we're expecting to go nationwide in August, which is like an appointment booking system where we have an abbreviated vetting service as well, where you could call us and we could actually set up appointments for you outside of the home as well if you need additional things. One of the things that we often hear is that's a blocker to utilize healthcare or go into the hospital is if one of our customers has a dog. So actually dog walking services is something that we're adding soon as well, because especially in emergencies where someone has to go to the hospital in a hurry, the dog, as much as we love them and they extend our joy span and our health span, it could be a blocker from those people to actually go to the hospital. So that's something that we're going to be adding very soon to support our olders.
If you're watching this right now on Amazon Fire TV, on a newer smart TV, pause the screen, scroll down, click from your TV. You can actually have that link sent to your phone where you can look at the VivaValet service and what you guys offer. If we end up featuring you in Newswire magazine, though, there's a call to action at the bottom. Our average article is getting over 100,000 readers a month. So I'm saying that because the majority of our audience are in their early 30s to about the 65-year-old, 65, 68 range. So you've got people whose parents may need this, and also people who are moving out of workforce into needing a service like this.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to service clients if you got 100,000 readers a month checking out your article, going to your site? Is there other services you can do besides in the Illinois area?
Yes. So 2 responses to that. Number one, I think our oldest customer is 90 currently, and I'm shocked that our youngest customer is 56. And I think that when you look at the whole business concept, again, having vetted, trusted services that are consolidated from a very fragmented market, I think the value proposition of having something that's trustworthy like this is actually great. It's for every population. It's not just for olders. And I think that's often one of the things that we get when potential customers call. They'll say, I'm 60. Am I older? Am I old enough to use your service, for example? So I think, first of all, so the customers who are 40 and above, even if you're 35, I've had single mothers who have, need a lot of help, who've actually come and asked if they can be a part of the service. Of course, yes, especially if you have young children and you need extra support, we absolutely will serve those populations as well. So that's number one. Number two is by the summertime, we'll be rolling out a national concierge service where you can call us. Through a subscription model, you can call us and we can do the vetting for you to find these things. We're not going to be able to serve you with our actual services, the physical services today. But as those populations reveal themselves, certain communities we know are asking for us to come. We know Reno, LA, Miami, Boston, New York, Dallas. We are constantly getting pinged from people in those populations saying, please get here as soon as possible. And so that we are hoping through our fundraising that we're currently doing, we'll be able to get the cash injection that enables us to reach more, which is part of that is just doing the geographical expansion, which we need to find to get to the people who really need us. And there are in many of those cities that I mentioned.
This may be something I can connect you once we get you featured. I'll do a 3-way introduction with the president of HOA.com, the Homeowners Association.com. They've got a crazy, really cool platform with integrating artificial intelligence for all their HOA stuff, even nationwide for all of the thousands of different HOAs that they're servicing, where the AI is scheduling block parties and just cool barbecues and cookouts and events. But they've got this whole thing. Might be a really good partnership for you guys to get connected and kind of refer each other back and forth.
Sounds like a fantastic partnership because it helps us, find the people that need us right now. As you can imagine, many of the people who are living this life often don't feel like they need help either. So many of them are, I'm off. So that's one of the opportunities to find these people, also to identify the adult children as well. And I think you mentioned AI and how the HOA Association is using AI to create these events, be they virtual, be they face-to-face. That's one of the things that we're really picking up a lot. I get invited to speak on healthcare and AI panels often, like on LinkedIn Lives and things like that. I also spoke at the World Economic Forum this year in Davos on this specifically, talking about how do we develop really durable solutions for elderly populations as they want to stay in their community. And the idea of having AI as a support for speeding up analysis, for decision support. I know, we even teach our customers how to use ChatGPT, for example, and that's really useful for them to understand their own health, navigating their own health journey, to help understand how that's going to look and help them ask better questions of their physician when they're meeting with their physician. The thing that we know for sure is that with all of these tools, which I fully embrace, and again, whenever I'm on a panel speaking about this, I always say, please make sure that you include data sets that include older populations, because with the AIML, if the LLMs are not being trained on older populations, we're going to have a huge problem with those decision-making support for older people, because some of the data just isn't there. You still can't Gen AI a handrail. You can't Gen AI a hammer. You can't Gen AI a ride. And so I think that in some ways it's a bit resistant to AI, our services, because people actually need the physical services. I was very happy to connect with that person. Thank you.
Now, what was it like presenting VivaValet's approach at the United Nations and AARP Commission on Age Tech?
Yeah, I mean, what a privilege that my founder and I got the chance to actually be invited to a series of conversations through the Secretary General's Office on Aging, together with AARP, to bring together thinkers, leaders, entrepreneurs in the age tech space. So we were joined with different academic institutions, gerontologists, Microsoft, big tech giants were there. And the whole point of that was, in the future of designing solutions for older adults. What are some of the key factors? So we looked at broadband access. How are we going to drive broadband access universally for every population, but most importantly for olders? And how do we solve the access desert issue? So that was one of the questions. Another white paper that was created was around what are the design principles if you're going to be designing for older people? And I was very vocal there to say many folks who are in tech, and I learned this very much through my own UI UX experience, is that those designers are often quite young. And so that we would ask, for example, some of our designers who are going through UI UX processes, do you have an older person in your life? They'll say, yeah, I have, my mother's 45. No, this is not who we're
10
talking
point
about.
10-point font on your terms and conditions page.
Exactly. So we did a great amount of ethnography actually to really study these populations. So we brought the insights of our ethnography to the UN and AARP forums, and that was put into the white papers for design principles for older adults. So number one, if you're designing a solution for an older adult or for any population, make sure they're at the table. And so often that's forgotten. So when you design for someone, not with someone, there's such a huge different experience.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm so grateful for the incredible compliment that you started the top of the hour with, which was that our site looks like it's easy to navigate, easy to function through. The buying process looks very straightforward and clean. That has everything to do with how we worked with different gerontologists, different advisors who work in not just tech, but also, again, in the age tech space, and olders themselves to really process check everything and make sure that we're doing the right thing. Again, to embed confidence in using tech, making sure that it's going to stay the same and stay absolutely stable for them, and making sure that the navigation process is actually really clear. One of those things also that we brought to the UN and ARP working task force for aging in tech, is that really simplifying decision making is also very important. In addition to trust and safety, simplifying decision making, whether it be buttons on a page, whether it be the options of vendors. So I mentioned our market for services that support olders is very fragmented. So if we can consolidate that, curate that for someone and say, if this is what you need, we've done all the background checking on them. We know in the background we're able to analyze based on your personal needs. We can customize this provider for you. This is your person. They don't have to actually go through and check 10 different vendors. So
Nice.
often the example that I'll use is if you're going to go on a vacation and you use booking.com or you use Expedia, some platform like that, it's very similar because you would never look at 10 different hotels or 20 different flights or 6 different car rental agencies. You would be looking at one and they present the options to you. Really what we've done, we've even curated down to the single agency that we would want to pair with you based on the needs that you have.
Sounds good. I'm loving that you built it alongside seniors, so you know exactly how. We've done the same thing, bringing in clients where you build a really great website, got the whole team working on it, and then when clients start looking at it and they don't understand the navigation or whatever, it's such a powerful thing to make it work for the target audience. Yeah. Now, one last question for you here before we go to a quick break. How does the yes and mindset from improv influence how do you lead your team and shape your company culture?
So thank you for asking. So I guess the cat's out of the bag. I'm a professional improv comedian. I trained at Second City in North America, and I actually also run a comedy school here in Basel, Switzerland, where I live. And I would say that the first rule of improv, there are 4 rules, but the first rule of improv is yes and. And really what that's all about is, yes, I hear you, I understand you, I agree, and we're going to keep building. I think very often if you're in a meeting, there's always a person who says yes, but this person. You have great ideas, it's popcorn, ideas are flowing, and someone says, yes, let's hire that person, but they're too expensive. Or let's design this service, but it doesn't work because it blah, blah, blah. The wrong color, wrong marker, all these things. What an energy killer. Yep. Right? What a confidence killer in everyone, in the team, in our customers, etc. So actually, my background as a professional improv comedian actually is infused in everything we do with our customers and all of our service providers and all of my staff that are actually having frequent touch points and conversations on a daily basis with our customers. It's all about yes and. So it's, how do I build rapport with you? How do I build solutions with you? How do I bridge conflict? If conflict comes up, it's actually one of the perfect ways to bridge conflict. I hear you, and let's keep going. Let's sort this out. I'm invested in you. I'm invested in finding a solution. So that whole mindset, the combination of words, yes, and the mindset behind it, it's very much a growth mindset. It is absolutely part of our DNA in every way, what we do in VivaValet.
This interview is sponsored by Newswire magazine. We celebrate the entrepreneurs and thought leaders shaping the future, those who don't just adapt, but innovate, who inspire others to think bigger, lead boldly, and create lasting change. Only a select few are featured in Newswire magazine, and for those who earn a place on the cover, the opportunities are unmatched. Your story shared with a global audience, your achievements celebrated on national billboards, reaching millions. Every leader has a story. Every vision deserves a platform. Who will rise to the top? Stay tuned. You're witnessing greatness unfold.
Hey, welcome back to Success, Motivation, and Inspiration. We're on right now with Jennifer Cain Birkmose. Now, Jennifer, you're a TEDx speaker, a healthcare executive, now a TV guest, and improv performer. How do these identities connect?
I laugh because they all sound so strange altogether. And I think these identities connect in me as a person, of someone who was looking for purpose, fulfilling purpose, and finding adventure in my life. So all of those things, again, being a TEDx speaker, diplomat, pharma exec, all of these things, professor, improv comedian, I never would have expected in my life to have lived through those type of life experiences. And I realized that it's like the great smoothie of life, that we've pureed all together and it all actually works. And one of the greatest surprises in my life is that by being an improv comedian, that drives so much of my leadership philosophy and actually enabled me to do career pivots and enabled me to really dive deeply into creating these solutions for older adults. I would even say, or even the direct transfer into that, is that I actually teach improv to older adults. My oldest
That's
student
awesome.
that I've ever had is 99 years old.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a life-changing thing, being able to, if you've gone through your whole life, you may know with me, I survived a malignant glioblastoma brain tumor, lost the ability to communicate. So getting back on, I'll still trip over words and stuff sometimes, but the practice, just going through thousands of TV and podcast interviews, been a huge thing to help. Even I'm a young guy, but hugely important to have somebody, especially somebody like you who's an expert, being able to coach them and walk them through that instead of trying to figure it out themselves.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm glad you're here.
Thank
So
you.
congratulations on getting through glioblastoma tumors. Congratulations. And I'm glad you're here. Like I said, the philosophy of improv definitely is a part of who we are as a company in terms of how we interact with our customers, how we serve our customers on a daily basis. And so much of it is, if our mission is to serve older adults so that they can live at home independently and really boost their confidence to do that, to navigate a world that is often changing around them in a way that's unfamiliar and that in so many ways blocks them out of participation. So I'm finding that even, directly using improv with older adults is a way of having them actually bolster their own confidence. In fact, there's a woman by the name of Ashton Applewhite who is really an advocate for elders herself. And she's working directly with Jane Fonda right now to promote how do we have successful aging experiences to expand health span, not just lifespan, but to live this life of purpose and joy. And they really talk about a life in the arts is actually a really huge contributor to joy and feelings of self-satisfaction and confidence in older years. In fact, the research says it's not only just about, is it wealth, is it age, is it health? Actually, it's exposure to the arts that's actually a huge contributor to feeling that confidence to live at home, to have purpose. And so when I'm teaching improv, especially to older adults, like 75 to 99, what I see is that we're doing exercises to stimulate the brain. We're doing exercises that are enhancing memory, that are developing creative expression. And by the end of a class, what I often find is that everyone, especially if they're in their older years, everyone seems a little taller. Their balance is more stable. Their voices are more clear. Their eye contact is very sharp and piercing. And in the last class I did it in an assisted living facility. Everyone sat in a circle and talked for 2 hours. So if what we're trying to do is drive purpose, social connection, and joy and enjoyment in life, and really, like I said, driving confidence, this is a wonderful tool to do that. And again, I'm so proud of my company because we're using these tools on a daily basis with our customers. So the listening exercises that we do, the yes and mindset, the yes and wording, it really helps have a better customer experience. Everyone's feeling more confident as the result of that.
One of the things I'm loving is just seeing how you light up when you talk about VivaValet and the help that you're giving. But it's cool to see people who, when I'm talking, I'm going, you're probably making great money with the company, but I bet you would do this for free, just where I can see you're loving the help and the impact that you're actually having.
I mean, I've
It
had a
sounds like an
whole
incredible tool.
life of dedicating my brain, my heart, my service to expanding access for patients all over the world. Making sure that, we get cancer medicines to sub-Saharan Africa. I'm on a Gates Foundation board where we are responsible for developing 95% of the world's malaria medicines. So I'm still very much in the game and in terms of drug development as well. And what I see is this growing bubble of older population. Where it's by 2050, it's 1.6 billion people over the age of 70 globally. So we
Wow.
have a huge market that's growing. So from a commercial perspective, it totally makes sense that we should be looking at solutions that are built for that population. And again, it could be infrastructure, it could be transport, it could be nutritional solutions. A friend of mine in agriculture tech is saying that the hottest area right now is how do you create formulations that are actually easier for older people to consume and have higher levels of protein absorption so they can maintain their muscle mass. So I think we're going to see in the next 10 years a major shift commercially in new companies that are founded that are actually going to be serving that market. My hope is that those people, as they see the commercial opportunity, they're also seeing the purpose that they're able to actually be a part of in driving transformation, true transformation of individuals' lives, of families' lives, and ultimately in the community. So that's my huge hope that we're able to do that. And you're absolutely right, is going to be the crisis of our time, of how we will be a part of coexisting with older populations.
For viewers wanting to help their aging parents stay independent longer, what's the first step that they should take with VivaValet?
The first step with VivaValet. So first of all, you can follow us on our socials. If you go to our LinkedIn account, our Facebook, our Instagram account, I would, first of all, VivaValet Trusted Services at Home. You can find us there on all of those channels. And if you're an adult child and you want to learn how to be part of that conversation, one of them is educate yourself. So like I mentioned before, there's 100 million people in the United States who are over 65 currently. And we know that of those people, 85% of them do not have a plan for how they're going to age and how they're going to age in place. And I think one of the things that is the biggest shock for adult children, myself, maybe yourself as well, is that you get hit by these things very, very quickly and you don't know. It's a crisis. How do you handle that? So one of them, so if you follow us on our socials, every Tuesday we have a series called Take Action Tuesday, which is like a 90-second TED Talk, which is one idea every week that you can actually learn about to take action to support your older. So it could be a theme like medication support, or it could be around cybersecurity threats, everything that you could possibly imagine. We've run the series for a year, so we have a year's worth of content. And again, it's like a little mini TED Talk, and some of them are a little entertaining because as me being an entertainer myself, I'm sometimes putting on a wig or two and doing little zany things. We also now have a series called Debunking the Myths of Aging, which may be of interest. So that comes out on a Friday. And also it helps you understand how can you also support older people and with respect, to be respectful of them. So I think that's one thing, is just start educating yourself. And then on those take action Tuesdays, have that conversation. It's like one assignment a week. For Valentine's Day, is if you have a parent who's been widowed, give them permission to love again, for example. Or if you know that your older might be at risk of falling, which again, everyone is above the age of 65, have a conversation about how you might look at their home differently the next time you visit. Assess for falling risks, assess for dark corners that could potentially have a problem and potentially be a trip hazard, or carpets that could be a trip hazard, or is the stairway railing loose? Is the shower not suitable any longer and you need to put in grab bars? All those kinds of things will help really arm you and your family with ways that you can support your older and continue to let them live at home. Because we know that mental health, satisfaction, joy, etc., is so much higher for people who are actually living at home, because 89% of olders wish to live at home. They don't really wish to go to, these care facilities. Also thinking about it, they're so expensive. The starting price point for a senior living facility minimum in the United States is $90,000 a year. Many families do not have those kinds of resources to put into that if you're thinking about a 10-year horizon. So again, how do you make the home safe? How do you support your parents with dignity, with respect, with reverence, to ensure that they have that confidence and that their home is going to be safe for them? So start having those conversations. Anytime you gather, it's Easter this weekend. I know that we're probably rolling after Easter, but any time in the year, you're going to get together. So 4th of July, great moments when you're going to get together with the family. Thanksgiving, the winter holidays, all these things, all wonderful opportunities to have those conversations and also to assess how things are going.
You've been listening to Jennifer Cain Birkmose of VivaValet. Jennifer, last question for you here. What message do you want to leave with our audience about aging, caregiving, and living a life of impact?
So to live a life of impact, if you are an adult child and you want to support your elders to live independently, the first thing is ask them what that means. How would you like to be supported? Get permission. And once you have that permission, then you have the opportunity to co-create solutions with them. We would love to be part of your journey in co-creating those solutions, which are customizable, which are safe, which are trustworthy, and to serve your older aging relative, and to hear things like, my favorite customer, sorry everyone else, but my favorite customer, Clark, and he said, I just don't know what I would do without you. I don't know what I would do with VivaValet. We would love to be able to be an agent to serve you and your family, so that your older can also say, I don't know what I would do without VivaValet to continue to live a life that's independently.
Thanks so much for being a guest. This has been incredible.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thanks for watching Success, Motivation, and Inspiration. This episode was designed to help you level up. See you next time.